Welcome. You are listening to the Overseas Life Redesign podcast, where you'll hear fun, relaxed, and inspirational interviews with people who are really living the dream. I'm Dawn Fleming, an attorney turned alchemist, and your host for the show, coming to you from the tropical island paradise of Isla Mujeres, Mexico. Listen to conversations with courageous souls who've stepped out of their comfort zone and designed a new way of life. They'll share their experiences, wisdom, and offer practical steps you can take to redesign your life overseas. Listen and you'll believe. If you can dream it, you can achieve it. I am here with Brenda Lamonica, and I'm very happy to be able to do this interview. She has been very, very busy of late, and visitors early in the year. Mom was here, so we finally were able to get to do this. So thank you so much, Brenda, for taking the time today to chat with me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, well, thanks for inviting me. I'm excited and nervous at the same time.
Oh, you can relax. You got your coffee. I got my coffee. We're good. So I a lot of times we start with the background, like how did this overseas life redesign all get started? But I think I would prefer to start this morning with why we're doing this interview at 7:30 in the morning, because you are a busy lady these days in spite of the fact that we're all under quarantine and locked down. So can you tell me a little bit about how that project all came about?
I think I'm going to have you repeat that question.
Oh, okay. What I was saying is one of the reasons we're talking so early this morning at 7:30 is you're a busy lady because of your project that has been keeping you busy while a lot of us have been locked down. And I know some people are going stir crazy. You're out and about doing some really awesome work. So I just was wanting you to talk a little bit about that, how that came about.
Well, it all came about when the good old COVID virus came about. And as everyone knows or doesn't know, Isla is a very small island off the coast of Cancun. And we live here full time now. And we kind of lost all our rentals for the next few months to come. And the way it started was everyone on the island works in tourism. You know, all the locals pretty much work in tourism in a certain way. And all of a sudden you find probably 95% of the island out of jobs, no income, no ways to feed their families. And it started with me making pickles.
I remember we got the wonderful pickles from you. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You can attest to that. So and kind of a little background, I started making pickles on Isla because I had a hard time finding a good pickle in Mexico.
Amen.
So I decided a way I could help was I could make pickles and sell them, and all the funds could go towards, originally it was Feed Isla, a great group of people that started to help, help feed the people on Isla in this time of crisis. Well, then I had friends started messaging me, we want to donate. We see you, you've gone out there a couple times and brought food bags to people. So through my own personal email, I started still making pickles, and people started donating towards just making pantry bags of necessities for people, or if a mother needed diapers and formula. And, I found most of the locals were more worried about their babies than themselves, if I could just help them feed their babies. And so it kind of started from there. And it's been probably one of the biggest changes in my life, through all of this.
Yeah. And you do this every day, right? You've been going out almost every day.
Yep. Pablo, my neighbor, is a taxi driver, and I kind of brought him on board. And we have every morning, we start about 9:00. We started out going to Chedraui. Now we're at a different place called Donna Sousa because I wasn't old enough to get in Chedraui that early.
Tom can only go between 8 and 10.
Yeah. So we do our shopping to make our pantry bags. And we deliver about 5 a morning, except for Sundays. That's a day I take off, but I usually try to have some extra ones in my house in case there's an emergency. I get messages from people on a daily basis, what size diapers, what type of formula. And my youngest is 28 and I have no grandkids. So I've learned a lot about diapers, a lot about formula.
I bet. Wow. And
so then we get
go ahead.
directions to people's houses. I try to get a contact number so that when we're driving around, I know, and of course, Papa knows the island better than I do as a taxi driver. And, it's been heartbreaking. It's been emotional. There's days I have cried with locals in the street. There's days they've wanted to hug me, and it's so hard to put my hand up and say, can't do that.
Yeah.
They wanted to hand me their babies, to hold their babies. It's just been it's been an eye-opening experience.
I bet. So how long? It's been a few weeks now since you've been doing this, right?
Probably about 4 weeks now. We started kind of right away, and it's kind of grown from there. I'd say about 4 weeks now.
Okay.
I've been doing it.
And have you how are the locals doing? Have you noticed? Has it changed? Are people more fearful or concerned as this goes on in time, or what kind of feedback are you getting?
I haven't seen people be fearful. The biggest thing I've seen is gratefulness.
Okay.
Just, I have a saying now that we are all one. I don't see people looking at me differently than anyone else, except for, gratitude, thankfulness. And that's kind of been my saying now is we're all one in God's eyes. So
absolutely.
We need to take care of each other.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that's great. Well, I'll definitely include in the show notes the email address so that if people want to donate to your cause, we can get some additional resources for you. So this is great. It just warms my heart. And I'll tell you, I feel privileged to be able to contribute to your cause, but I don't know that I have the courage to do what you're doing. I just admire you so much. I wanted to do that. Your bravery.
I have to tell you a little backstory here, and this might be a little bit off, but I'm kind of a daddy's girl. And when me and my husband finally made the final decision to move to Mexico full time, my dad was a little bit upset. And it was like his baby was leaving him. And about 2 weeks into this, I got a message from my dad that said, now I know what your calling was to move to Mexico for. And that meant the world to me. To finally felt like I had my dad's approval for what choice I made. So, I have a very close.
And what prompted that? Did he come down to see where you were living, or what? Why did he send that message?
He's been here a few times. 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 times. We partnered on a project together called Villas Chacum a few years ago, but what prompted us to move full time?
No. What prompted your dad to send that message?
It started after this whole COVID thing started.
Oh, this was just recently.
That's a couple weeks ago.
Just recently. Oh, okay. I thought this was a while ago. Okay. Wow. So
this was a couple weeks ago. So, and he was just like, I just want to let you know how proud I am of you. And I now know the reason that you were called to move to Mexico full time.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Very cool. That's nice. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. Okay, I'm crying now.
I'm crying now. That I don't cry.
Right. Yeah, we have similar backgrounds. We're both Minnesota girls, and
Minnesota nice.
Yeah, we kind of grew up. That's in our blood, right? To help each other. You don't help each other in Minnesota, you die, right? Your car falls down or something like that. So that's how we roll. So it's cool to see that down here.
Well, awesome. Well, let's shift gears a little bit and talk a little bit more. You mentioned, your decision to move to Mexico. So tell us about that. How long ago was that? I mean, you said before we started that it took you a few years to convince your husband that this was the thing to do. So take me back. How did this all moving to Mexico come about?
Well, my first trip to Mexico was in January of 2002 on a girls' trip. I came for about 3 years before I ever brought my husband down to Isla. Us girls had rented an apartment downtown. Brought my husband, fell in love, of course, right away. 2004 was the first time I brought him to Isla. And we rented that apartment for 9 years downtown. It was a great way to get to know locals. We bought our first property on Isla in 2006. Piece of land we still own on the south end. And then in 2012, we were kind of looking around for something, retirement-wise, what could we do? And we found Casa Flores. And funny story, my husband was going out we had a boat at that time, and he was going out on a fishing trip. And I said, oh, there's this place. I need you to come and look at it quick before you go fishing. So we came and looked at Casa Flores, where I'm sitting right now. And he said he was in a hurry, and he said, do whatever you need to do. So he went out fishing and came back, and I had written a purchase agreement for it. I think he regretted at the time saying those words, but everything worked out. Casa Flores is where we live in our owner's suite in the back, and we rent out the house. And then, so that was 2012. And then about a year later, he said, maybe we should consider moving full-time to Isla and doing the rental thing. We had been in rental in the States. We had our own trucking business, and we were kind of getting ready. So 2013, had a big moving sale at our place. Sold everything down to our bedroom set. Well, my husband got a little bit of cold feet, so he had to buy me another bedroom set. And then in the summer of 2019, because we always spent winters here because trucking in Minnesota, we shut down.
I was going to ask, so the 9 years you had the apartment downtown, you were snowbirds? You just came down for the winter? Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Down for the winter, because being in road construction in Minnesota, you shut down in the winter.
Yep.
So in summer of 2000, what had actually been summer 2018, that spring after we went back, he said, I'm finally ready. So I put our place on the market. We knew it'd be a tough sell because we lived in a shop house, 40 acres. And he took off on his motorcycle in November to Mexico to ride it down here. And after he left, we got a purchase agreement on the house, went through all that. We finally closed on it. We came back to Minnesota in January of 2019, had 2 weeks to get everything done out, and it was about 50 below zero that time, and we got it done. It was a amazing 2 weeks, and we flew through it, moved down here with 5 suitcases and our 2 pugs, and then we moved here full time. In the meantime, we had bought another property called Via Chacum, renovated that. That's where my mom and dad came in as partners on that. And so now we have 5 rentals on Isla and live here full time and love our life here.
Well, cool. Well, that is a really awesome story. There's some things to unpack there. But I think what I'll do is take a break for a moment and then we'll come back.
Okay.
Isla Mujeres is a Caribbean jewel off the coast of Cancun. Castilito del Caribe warmly invites you to enjoy our spectacular oceanfront villa located in the heart of El Centro and a short walk to Playa Norte, which is ranked one of the top 10 beaches in the world. With an ocean view of crystal clear turquoise waters overlooking both the Caribbean and Cancun city skyline, we offer a fabulous location for you to enjoy all the peace and tranquility you're looking for on vacation, while also taking in all the excitement the island has to offer, with activities either in walking distance or a golf cart day excursion away. Please visit CastilitoCaribe.com, www.CastilitoCaribe.com. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Integrity Vacation Property Management. Trust, truth, results. From buyer's representative services to rental market analysis, staging, marketing, and full-service property management, achieving your goals is our top priority. Visit our website at www.integrityvpm.com and get our free guide, Self-Manage or Hire, a property owner's checklist of issues to consider. Contact us for a free consultation to see if we can help you maximize the return on your investments. Integrity VPM, raising the bar in vacation property management.
Okay, and we're back with Brenda. I thought you were here a lot longer than that. You seemed like we met, actually, I don't know if you remember, but we actually met when you had a housewarming party or grand opening for Villas Chacum.
Oh, okay.
Was how I first became acquainted with you. And you just seemed like you were part of the fabric of the community. I didn't realize that it was that recent that you had moved down here, because I knew you had another property, and I just thought you were, one of the long-term gringos that were here. So you've obviously assimilated into the local community quite nicely. But what I was thinking about during the break was, wow, you went from a 40-acre property to an island that is 5 miles long and a half a mile wide. Tell me about that adjustment. I mean, especially with you and your husband. I mean, was it different for both of you, or did you have the same experience? Tell me about that.
We always said we went from our 40 acres of just quiet solitude to a small island with your neighbors right there. And, it took me a while to get used to the noise, the noise at night. Locals come out at night when it's cooler. And it took me a while to get used to that, I always worried about the guests. It was too noisy for the guests.
Right.
And now I've just come to actually love it. I love hearing the sounds. We actually, when we have guests in our house, we live in a small little back area that we call the cave, because we have no windows back there. And but we've just, it took me probably more of an adjustment than my husband.
Okay, I was going to ask, was he the same way, or he took to it?
Brian's always, his biggest saying to me is just relax.
Sounds like my husband.
If you know well enough, I don't relax very often. When we're in and I'm doing laundry, I'm running around checking guests, and I'm going to town. And so this whole thing of having to stay in your house and stuff, it probably makes me more anxious than anything, because I'm usually a mover and a goer and
woman after my own heart. I get it. In fact, it's funny. We're downtown, and absolutely, the noise is different from what I'm used to too. And yet, since it's been gone for now 7 weeks, I find it a bit eerie how quiet it is.
In a quieter area than we are now, because we live out amongst the locals.
Right. Oh, for sure. I mean, every time I go up and down the stairs, I'm looking down the street. We're right behind the Navy base. So I'm looking down the street, and there's like nobody. It's really strange. So it's different. But anyway, okay. So you had your trucking business in Minnesota. So is that something you and your husband did together? Was that like a family business that you worked together?
Yep, and it's we owned it for 20 years, and we actually, when we moved, we sold it to our son, who took it over.
Oh, fantastic!
Yep.
Okay, so that was going to be my next question is, are you running it remotely or did you sell it? And so it's still in the family, and your son, so he has you there if he needs help with it, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic. And then your mom just was down, I know, the spring. And
yep, mom and dad both, actually.
I'm sorry?
My mom and dad both came down.
Oh, they both came down. Okay. And how long did they stay for? Were they?
Mom's for 4 weeks, I believe, this time.
Okay.
Or 6 weeks. Dad came down for a week.
Okay. So they're not snowbirds. They're not coming
Nope.
down.
Not yet, but if Mom, as soon as possible.
Yeah. So they're interested in. Are they still working or they retired?
Actually, my dad is still an independent consultant for plastics engineering at 79 years old.
Good for him.
Yeah.
He's keeping busy. Well, that's fantastic. And you have children?
Between Brian and I, we have 3 children, a 32-year-old son, 28-year-old son, and a 26-year-old daughter.
Okay. And are they back in Minnesota or where?
2 in Minnesota, 1 in Iowa.
Okay. And they come down and visit? No?
Nope.
Really?
Nope. We have to go up there to see them.
Well, that's interesting. Is there any particular reason they don't come visit or?
One doesn't like the heat. That's the one that owns a trucking business. The other one, he's just still probably trying to find his career move.
Okay.
And so no grandkids. So
how did they feel about your move? You're moving away.
I think they were a little bit prepared for it because we talked about it for quite some time.
Okay.
I think when we sold our house, it happened so fast with the purchase agreement compared to when we finally were told you're going to be closing in 2 weeks. So I don't think any of us had really time to think about it too much at that time. But with technology these days, being able to FaceTime and, internet phones and everything, it's like you can be in the same room and talk to each other. So.
Well, great point. So, that was going to be my next question is that, are you able to stay connected technologically? And it sounds like you do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's been really a savior for all of us, I think, in this lockdown period, especially to be able to get on and see people.
Yeah,
exactly. This way. Cool. So you've got your rentals here. Did you have a history in the rental industry before, or is it just something you decided to do and figure out, or how did that come about?
Well, we did. We were in the rental business as well in Minnesota. We had a 7-plex that we owned for about 10 years.
Okay.
So I dealt with a lot of long-term renters because I ran that myself. I didn't have a management company or anything.
Sure.
So one time I was driving a dump truck, managing the rentals, doing the books for the business, and had Casa Flores here.
Wow.
So it was a really busy lifestyle for me. And then when we bought V.S. Jacome, we actually sold our 7-plex in Minnesota to purchase that property. And we did a total renovation on that. So, so I had a little bit of rental experience there, plus real estate. I built houses for a little while. So it kind of took a little bit of everything out of my life and put it all in one.
Well, and likewise, I had some property management experience too, but never vacation rentals. So it's different, isn't it?
It is different. And actually, I like it a little bit better. It's like people are here 1-2 weeks. It's totally different from long-term rentals.
Yeah. Well, I know actually my husband, I think, enjoys it even more than I do, which is kind of strange because I'm pretty outgoing, but he just loves interfacing with the guests and hearing their stories and that whole interaction that you don't get with long-term rentals. So it's, I'm sure you've probably, especially you're right on premises as well. So you do get to interact with folks and it's fun.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of families and large groups that fly in from different places that stay together. So that dynamic is really fun too. The energy of people, who haven't seen each other for a long time and being here in paradise is very hard. So that part of it is nice as well. But yeah, wow. So you did have an incredibly busy lifestyle for a while, and then coming down here, where obviously the pace is a little slower. I know you were probably busy getting the Village Coombe ready, and then it was done, right? So you
Yeah.
so
Yeah, all of a sudden, no rentals, cancellations. Yeah, going from like 100 miles an hour down to 0.
right. So how has that been? What have you been able to, like, I've actually been able to do some things that I never had time to do before. So that's been kind of fun. But how's the experience been for you?
You know, we started out doing maintenance stuff. We were like, well, let's get ahead of it, do a few here. You know, I've got beautiful gardens at Chacombe or here at Casa Flores I can work in every day because I had a degree in horticulture. So,
Oh, fabulous.
yeah. And then I thought, oh, I can organize drawers. I can organize this and that. And, you know, you have to really get inside your head every day, it seems like, because you go, oh, I can do that tomorrow. I can do that tomorrow. So the excuse of it, I don't have time to get things done, can't be an excuse anymore. Now it's just, you just find out that, I don't know, it's just staying mentally aware of where you are every day for me. I can find myself getting emotional about things. I mean, I watch a Netflix movie and a horse dies and I'm bawling my head off. Yeah, so it's just, for me, it's keeping myself busy. I have to be a busy person. And a lot of my friends will.
I think I lost you for a second. Can you
we lost each other.
Yeah. Can you repeat that? Your friends, what did you say? Your friends?
Oh, a lot of my friends will attest to the fact that I have to be a busy person. It just keeps me going every day, being busy.
Got to keep moving. Well,
yeah.
That's how great that, you know, you found your calling with helping the locals out in their time of need. How about your husband? How's he been rolling with the whole thing? Does he keep himself busy or?
Well, my husband is the cook in the family. So I say I put on the quarantine 15 probably. He cooks a lot. He bakes a lot. He watches YouTube videos on cooking. He helps me out here, you know, but now we can't even do any painting because paint stores are closed and all that. So kind of the maintenance things kind of came to a halt even. And, but he keeps my belly happy. So that's a good thing.
And that's hugely valuable. Yeah, I actually love to cook, but he's the shopper, prep cook, and dishwasher. So I just get the fun part of the cooking experience, and he does the rest.
Yeah.
So it's a huge blessing for sure to have someone do all that and allows us to do what we're called to do. So that's great.
Yeah.
Well, awesome, Brenda. And I know you need to get started with your day, but I just was wondering, is there anything I didn't ask you that you'd like to share about, you know, maybe how this process has changed you, or, you know, suggestions for anybody that's thinking about making a big move like that?
I think the biggest thing about making a big move like we did is to be prepared. You know, some people have told me, oh, we came down here, we visited, we moved. We were in a different situation. We were self-employed. You know, we didn't have, you know, retirement fund per se where people get their pension. You know, we've been self-employed our whole lives. So our investments were real estate, you know, and like I said, we bought our first property down here in 2006 as an investment. And because, you know, we needed to think about retirement, but our big thing was we wanted to enjoy what we love, which is Isla, while we could, not when we couldn't walk and, you know, couldn't hardly move. So we wanted the years to be able to enjoy it together. And so that's kind of what pushed us to make the final move.
Okay.
So.
And you're happy with the result, obviously. You guys are pretty happy here?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. You know, of course, you have your daily frustrations. I'm still working on my Spanish. My husband's Spanish is, you know, very small. He depends on me for that. But, you know, riding around with Papa every morning in the taxi. I work on my Spanish, and it gives him a chance to work on his English. And we've learned to joke together even in these trying times, and have some laughs together and share stories. And yeah.
Sounds like a pretty nice life.
I'm going to give you a little background on me and my husband. We dated in high school back in 1979.
Oh, no kidding.
And we broke up for 17 years. And we went, we graduated from high school together. We broke up for 17 years and got back together after 17 years. And I think we were 32 when we got married. And yeah.
Wow. So that's cool.
We're going to have our 24th wedding anniversary this year. So.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah. I call it the comeback story.
That's funny. Well, thank you so much, Brenda. I really appreciate your time today, and I'll be thrilled to share this with folks. And like I said, hopefully get you some additional funds to work with to help out the locals. And I'll also make sure we put the links to your properties if someone's interested in coming down for places.
Thank you so much.
So we'll promote that for you.
Yeah, and I just want to tell everyone that it might come to the point, like with people we know and things like that. It's going to get to the point where people are going to start getting their electricity cut off. They're not going to be able to pay their rent. Not saying that we're going to have funds available for that, but I will do everything in my power to help as many locals as I can. And I know Feed Isla, Ruben, everyone, Marco, who I've gotten to know, Juan, who I've gotten to know, who has a pantry table, Diff, the government, just everyone, I think, just wants to work together to get through all of this.
Yeah, and hopefully maybe it'll be coming to an end soon, and we can get our guests back here.
Hope and pray.
We sure will. All right, my dear. Well, you have a fantastic day, and I hope to see you in person again soon.
Yes, you too. When you run out of pickles, let me know.
I sure will. Thanks, dear.
This episode of the Overseas Life Redesign podcast was brought to you by our sponsors. Thanks for tuning in. Did you love this episode of the Overseas Life Redesign podcast? Then please subscribe to our show and leave us a nice review. It's very much appreciated. We invite you to visit www.overseasliferedesign.com. We'd also love for you to become part of our OLR community on Facebook. Thank you for listening.